Good evening, everyone. My task tonight is to speak about what we've been up to with our team in the past months. But I'd actually like to start off with sharing an interesting scientific finding with you. And here it is. Did you know that collective intelligence is our best problem-solving tool? There's this fantastic study that shows that collective intelligence best predicts a team's problem-solving capability. It predicts it better than average member intelligence or maximum member intelligence. So it doesn't matter whether there's one genius in the team or not, collective intelligence is what best predicts problem-solving and success. The super interesting thing came from when researchers looked at how does collective intelligence emerge? What does it require, this kind of super problem-solving ability? Well, it doesn't depend on what is being said in the group, but how. So the quality of interaction between team members predicts whether collective intelligence emerges and whether they are able to solve tough problems. And now you might be wondering, so how should we interact to get this super tool to our use? It looks a little like this. Very simple things, basically just good manners, a positive attitude towards the other team members. So short speeches, no monologues, not like this. Presently, our collective intelligence is super low because I'm quiet, I'm speaking and you are quiet. Responsiveness, giving everyone a turn to speak. And most importantly, the empathy skills of the team members predicted collective intelligence. So the better the empathy skills of the team members, the more collective intelligence and better problem-solving capabilities. Now this is why it really bugs me when people speak of empathy skills as soft skills, as if to dismiss them as something, not that important. It's not true, dear audience. It seems that empathy underlies humanity's most powerful problem-solving potential. There's nothing soft about that. So, how does this work when we go online? Right now we have this fantastic tool for collaboration that kind of holds within it promise of global collective intelligence, right? Does it happen? Are we solving the biggest problems we're facing at the moment? How does empathy fare when we interact online? Not that well, it seems. There might be a slight problem with interaction that takes place in online environments. And research shows that for some reason, we're not as able to be empathetic towards each other when we interact online than when we interact in the real world. Empathetic on the level of emotions or thoughts. Now, there may be several reasons for this, and one that we have identified is that the tools we have for expressing emotions are pretty poor in quality. So when I don't receive information about your emotions when we interact online, it's really hard for me to empathize with them, right? Which might make it easy to act in a cruel manner when people's emotions don't reach or touch you. So this is the problem that we have started targeting with our team. And already last year we identified that we need three things to really have an impact on the problem, to really create change. First of all, we need to do research. We need to create new applications to broaden the emotional spectrum of the internet. And we need to broaden community. Because if you want to tackle a big problem, you need more than just one team. So next I'm going to tell you about some of the activities we've had pertaining to each of these dimensions. Starting off with number one, the most important thing, science, because no true change in the world happens without new understanding. You can't create change in the world without learning. And scientific discovery is the best home for learning. So we have two lines of research going on. We're putting adolescents in the brain scanner, and we're investigating connections between the amount and quality of their internet use, empathy skills and empathetic attitudes towards others, as well as brain structures and functions related to empathy. Another line of research pertains to something that is called interbrain synchronization. It's the synchronization of activity that happens while people interact. And that is quite a new field of research in cognitive neuroscience. And one of the few labs that does this kind of research is at Stanford. And we visited them in the summer to get feedback on our research plans and also to kind of spy on their lab setup, look at what type of lab they have built over there. Then we came back home and built a better one. So, you know, it's a kind of a joke, but think about it. It may be that at this moment, we have the world's best two-person lab right here at the University of Helsinki. At the moment, we're piloting our experimental paradigm and waiting for ethical permission to start doing the tests. And we're going to see whether this interbrain synchronization is related to the speed and quality of joint learning. So whether we learn together more efficiently if our brains synchronize. And if we find that they do this, then maybe we could look at ways of encouraging brains to synchronize during online interaction. It sounds kind of sci-fi, but I propose it's possible. But that is still ongoing work. So, in terms of applications, we've been coming up with these kinds of quick fixes, something to do to the internet to make it more empathy enabling. So I'll be showing you photos of a couple of prototypes. Don't be alarmed, they look a little horrible. This is prototype number 1. Yes, it's a piece of stocking, but it's a very early prototype of something we're calling the emotion sleeve, which allows you to feel your chat partner's feelings as tactile information on your arm. So we will obtain emotional information about a person you're chatting with and deliver that as tactile sensations to your arm. And thereby you could slowly develop a new sense for emotion information, a new digital sense for emotions. This is another prototype, a quickly made one, that brings emotion information into a context where it was previously lacking. So it doesn't look like much, but with this application you can see the heart rate as well as the changing emotional state of your chat partner. So these are just things we're trying out, and of course they're not ready yet, but it's important to try and test. This is another application, also based on this facial recognition technology, this machine vision that detects your emotional state from the features of your face. This is a collaboration with a group of artists called the Olento Collective. And this is actually a digital sculpture that changes shape and orientation, color, size, according to your emotional state. It was on display at the Sideways Festival this summer, where we put cameras to look at the concert audience and detect their collective emotional state, which was represented in the form of this sculpture in a container. So you could go and take a peek at what the audience is feeling at a certain stage during the festival. And there was also an artificial intelligence that we taught emotions to, and that also learned the emotions during the festival. So very interesting collaboration. The most recent application is this. And here, for the first time in the world, we measured real-time EEG from a football player during a league game. It's very difficult. I don't recommend anyone to try, and to our great surprise, everything worked fantastically. The team won this particular game for the first time in 40 years. I'm not saying it was our technology, we might have had an effect. What came out of this was an application for football viewers to see the changing mental states and feelings of the football player. So we did some kind of light analysis on the EEG as well, and a visualization of the data. And this constitutes also the first business we have been able to generate around this work and the theme. There. Third, perhaps most important part of our work is growing our community. The big thing we did this year was, of course, Emotion Hack Day, yet again. And we attracted a fantastic crowd here in Helsinki with the support of our sponsors, including Microsoft and Reactor and whatnot. But not also in Helsinki, also in Montreal. So we collaborated with local universities as well as the local Microsoft and this global non-profit called Neurotech X to have a sister event of Emotion Hack Day in Montreal. Looking forward to continuing these hackathons and bringing them to further down North America as well as Europe this year, or next year, sorry. Another activity related to community building was perhaps our involvement in the legendary Pixelake Festival. This is an art festival that took place just a little while ago. We were part of the curating team and also created content and helped in arranging the festival. It was a great triumph and a fantastic theme, if you ask me. And lastly, we have been very lucky to have several media appearances. This makes me super happy because it perhaps means that we're doing something sensible, perhaps means that we're doing something that is of interest to other people as well. So very grateful for the attention. So what does the future hold? And I must admit that things are getting slightly out of hand. Because we're not content with changing the internet anymore. As we go on, we're starting to see empathy inhibiting structures everywhere. So this is Parliament. Think about it, where people work with a specific purpose of solving big problems, but in an environment that does not support empathy, that in fact inhibits it by enhancing competition between these individuals. And at the same time, we feel a tremendous increase in urgency for solving this problem because, as we know, humanity is facing problems of tremendous magnitude. And if empathy underlies collective intelligence, and collective intelligence is our best problem-solving tool, we need more empathy everywhere, right now. But I'm a positive person, and I don't feel alarmed, I don't feel nervous about the situation, because I also know that empathy is something that comes naturally to people. It is something we all know. And perhaps the best way of increasing empathy is just by acknowledging and noticing what inhibits it and getting rid of those structures. And this, dear audience, is where you guys come in. See, because you are also part of our plan for changing the world. You too can start today. You too can create more opportunities for empathy to emerge, for example, in any encounter you have with other human beings. I believe if we all did this, if we created more opportunities for empathy, there is no problem we couldn't solve. And this is how I end my speech tonight. Thank you for listening.